Alright, where do I even begin? Over the last couple years in Yu-Gi-Oh!, its community has just been getting, I feel like, getting worse and worse over the last couple years. To the point where so many other YouTubers that are not making Yu-Gi-Oh! Content is getting harassed like crazy. It's insane for me. This children's card game. The fact that we get pissed off so easily about someone who's coming in the community, wants to try our game out, and has a hard time because our Yu-Gi-Oh card game has the worst way to introduce people to the card game, and the people that deny themselves are on the biggest copium they've ever been on because it's the hardest card game to get into. And I'm not kidding you. I played lots of card games. I've tried Magic. I'm recently trying Digimon right now. I've played a lot of Pokemon. It is the one of the most hardest card games to get into. So you think that the community would be a lot more nicer of trying to get more people in because no newer people, the card game is slowly going to die. But no, instead we have drama that's been going on that just pisses me off. In fact, the most recent drama that happened recently is with Papa Mutt, and he tried going back into Yu-Gi-Oh! The first time in years, and he had to go against what decks are now, and he said he took 37 minutes for one turn. No, 37 minutes is a little much for one turn, and people have, commented that down below saying, it usually takes 5 or 10 minutes, 37 is a little much, and yes, it is a little much, but still, like, we don't do this. Death threats in his DMs, and the point where he had to mute his threads on Twitter is insane. This is not the Yu-Gi community I used to know. And it's insane. Now, you think other card games do this? Most likely not. The fact that we have to send death threats for a person that is having a hard time getting into this children's card game is insane to me. Now, I know it's Twitter, but sending death threats to someone is not the best way to get someone in our community. And other drama we had, like, almost a year ago was the Ackman saying how much he missed the old Yu-Gi-Oh! And how great it was back then, which is fine because that's the way he likes to play. But people are, on their high horse, and I think that's just so stupid because one of the best things about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that you can customize your decks so much compared to other card games. Because compared to other card games, there's like so much more rules. You have mana, you have certain color cards you can only play with certain colored decks. And that's the reason why I love Yu-Gi-Oh! So much, because you can really make almost anything you want. You want to make a classic old school deck, you can do that. You want to play like a meta deck, you can do that. We shouldn't shame people for what they want to play in Yu-Gi-Oh! We should be more open-minded. Like, one of the greatest things that happened the last couple months is when Saikuno started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's the reason why I even got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And Master Duel, because he showed me like how different ways he plays Yu-Gi-Oh! He plays it like in like classic format, he plays it like in more like in the synchros and stuff. And then he also like tries like meta decks. He tries a variety of different kinds of decks, and he also tries to get his friends in. I feel like he's like the best person to bring people in to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community. And I feel like more people in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community should be more like him, sharing his passion that he likes of this game with other people. And so another thing I want to bring up is what happened to Raran. So he tried playing the Master Duel recently, and he had a very hard time getting into it because Master Duel has a really shit tutorial about Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's how he's trying to learn. He did get 10 hours in, but it's a really hard time. And my example is that we should try help people get into our card game, not just shit on them. And I know part of it is because of Master Duel. Master Duel does not have the best tutorial, and I know that. And I know he kind of talked a little smack about it before, but it's because the game is so hard for beginners. It's not the best way to show them Yu-Gi-Oh! And eventually, a bigger YouTuber, Simone, showed me Edison in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is a much older format, so it's a little more easier to understand. Which he seemed like he had a little more better time with it. He's still not a big fan of Yu-Gi-Oh!, but at least he got a better experience out of it, which is a much better way to show our card game. Because Master Duel does not have a good enough tutorial. So it's our job as the community to show them how Yu-Gi-Oh can be played. Not being on our high horses, laughing at people that are trying to learn our complicated card game and trying to block people off. That's not the way we should be doing it. We should be showing people that we can play our card game in such more unique and different ways. Like there's so many different ways we can play our card game. And there's so many people playing meta decks, which is fine. Meta's fine. I understand that people like doing with hand traps and other stuff. That's fine. But we also gotta show them how we got introduced to Yu-Gi-Oh! We gotta show them why this community can be so great and not be on our high horses. Back when I was a kid, I was just learning Yu-Gi-Oh! For the first time at my local card shop. And at the time, it was Arm Dragon level 10. And I had the most shittiest dragon deck I had from the beginner Yu-Gi-Oh! Packs. And my deck was absolutely awful. But people were willing to show me and give me their free cards that cost them a lot of money just to help my deck out get a little bit better and show them how to play. I love that. That's what got me passionate about Yu-Gi-Oh! Other than the anime. That's why I love this card game. Because back then, it used to be very passionate about getting people in the community. And lately, I feel like it's just in this rut of only is shitting on people that are having a hard time in our card game. Now, I did also find a video from Team APS who talks about the whole drama about the last couple of years about everything I just talked about, and he does a really good job explaining it. I do recommend watching the video for Big Yu community drama. A really good job explaining it. I really like his work, and he does a good job explaining the community. I do recommend watching this clip.
Yo again. And so I think that it reminds me basically that Yu-Gi-Oh exists almost in two realms, maybe even three. There are people like me or you probably if you're watching this where we have played Yu-Gi-Oh, we know how it goes, we know the nuances of modern day Yu-Gi-Oh and we can enjoy it maybe even in spite of them. But we're also the same people who when, an outsider comes in and insults the game or kind of is overwhelmed with the game, we sometimes can get a little bit passionate and impatient about like letting them know that they're wrong. On the other end of the spectrum, there are people who remember what Yu-Gi-Oh was like as a kid and remember that playground thing, and so they want to try this game out and they don't have such a great experience with it. I think the crucial part to Yu-Gi-Oh's success, especially in the future, is how can we kind of like meld those two groups. I'm not going to get into it too much now, but I think that alternative formats is one of the things that people sort of cite. Like I mentioned, Master Duel making better tutorials, and also just some forms of coaching, content creator collaborations, things like that that show Yu-Gi-Oh in the best light that we can to outsiders. It is easy to forget that as a noob, this game is overwhelming. There is a lot of card text. There are long combos. You can face decks that won't let you play. Yu-Gi-Oh can be fun and you can deal with them, but you have to get there first. And I think our responsibility as players is to make sure that we do not allow situations like the Papa Mutt situation, where people just leave and we kind of, cheer on the fact that, we won, we got him. I don't think that's a win. I think that we should all kind of be ashamed of that. This was not a good sort of scenario for anybody involved. So, yeah, I want to hear what you guys think about it.
And I think he does a really good job explaining what we kind of need to do as a community to make Yu-Gi-Oh, great again. I'll also put the video down in the description down below. And I want to say I'm not making this video to hate on Yu-Gi-Oh or the community. I want to make the Yu-Gi-Oh and the community great again. I want to make it the way I used to have it when I was a kid, where people were passionate to help other people get into the game. I want to see Yu-Gi-Oh still survive, 10, 15 years later, which I know it's not going to fully die, but I feel like it's slowly dropping down. And the reason why I'm saying that, because I went to a card shop recently and no one's playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Only thing I saw was Magic and Pokemon, and I'm worried about our card game that it's not bringing anyone new. And I don't want to see Yu-Gi-Oh slowly go down and down to the point where not many people are playing it anymore. I am just very passionate about this game that I've played since I was a kid. And eventually I'd like to take my kids to their first time going to a card shop and playing like Yu-Gi-Oh for the first time and show them how to play, because it was such a magical experience for me when I was a kid. I like to show them that too. But if no one's playing it, I can't really show them the experience I had, and that just makes me really sad that I can't share this wonderful card game with my kids if it's, slowly going down the gutter to the point where it's extremely hard to find people to play. And some people say like, "Oh, Master Duel is doing so well." Like, what happens if Master Duel is not, doing so well anymore? What if it's not bringing new people in to Yu-Gi-Oh? Because the tutorial is so bad, and we're not teaching people how to come into the Yu-Gi-Oh community. So then the game does bad because we're not bringing in more people, so that it doesn't make as much profit. If it doesn't make much profit, then it's not going to be more funded for more events and other stuff. And then people are going to get a little sick of it. Stuff like that is the reason why we got to be more nice to the people to come in our community. Because, the younger people is our lifeblood that keeps the game going and going. We don't want it to just stop at our generation. Don't you just want to show it to more people instead of just gating it off to ourselves? And I know I'm going to get a lot of angry comments of Yu-Gi-Oh fans like, "Oh, he's just shitting on Yu-Gi-Oh and everything else and like all this other stuff." You can leave a comment down below. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to talk my 2 cents of what's going on in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, and I feel like it should improve. Or I know, I'm just some small YouTuber, talking, about drama. But anyways, subscribe, leave a like on the video, and comment down below. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and please make our community great again.